A few years ago, I lost my big Labrador retriever, Marty, who died at a fairly young age of about 10. And I mentioned it in an editor's note and then thought nothing more of it until the editor's note was published. And I got this amazing response from readers. I got people writing me letters of condolences. I got cards. I got flowers. It was just amazing. And in these letters, a lot of people talked about the grief, the very real and deep grief they feel when they lose a pet. And they also talked about how sometimes people who don't have pets or are not animal lovers don't quite understand the depths of that grief. At about the same time, an editor for Guideposts named Ptolemy Tompkins brought forth an idea of whether or not pets go to heaven. So I went and I told him the experience I had with the readers, and we talked about the possibility of doing an article like this. And the only reservation I really had was that I thought that there might be some theological stickiness with the idea. But Ptolemy assured me there was actually Bible references to the souls of animals, and that he would be able to cite some of those in his articles. So we turned Ptolemy loose on the article, and it turned out to be one of our most popular articles ever. I mean, it was a huge hit with readers. Ptolemy got tons of mail, and he got so much mail that he eventually decided that the subject deserved a book. And eventually that book and the work he did on it took him away from Guideposts, though today he remains a contributing editor. And this month, his book, called The Divine Life of Animals, is going to hit the stores, and we think you'll all be interested in the book. And in this issue, we have an article from Ptolemy about writing his book. So I thought you'd like to meet him in person. Ptolemy, welcome back to Guideposts.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. When I got into this, what I started to realize was you cannot tell the spiritual history of human beings without talking about animals. Human beings are not human beings without animal creation. If you look in the Bible and you look around for the first notice of humans, they show up in the midst of an awful lot of animals. And if you look in the Bible for the first appearance of Jesus Christ, he shows up in the middle of an awful lot of animals. I don't think this is a mistake. You see this constant reference to the intertwined nature of animals and humans. Now, one of the reasons people get itchy about this is they say, oh, wait a minute, you're going to tell me that human beings are the same as animals, that there's nothing special, and that's not biblical. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that. And one of the major questions I wrestled with in writing this book was trying to answer the question, how can we see human beings as spiritually different from the rest of creation, set apart, which is, of course, what the Bible tells us again and again, without simply throwing all the animals out and saying they don't matter?
Well, it would certainly be a very lonely planet without animals, if we were the only animals on it.
Well, we literally wouldn't be who we are without them. And the further I got back into history, the more apparent it became that talking about humanity without including animal creation is sort of talking about Edward Grinnan, but let's remove all the carbon molecules, okay? Edward Grinnan is fine, but let's just...
I'm full of carbon, so...
Yeah, so, we need the carbon if we're going to have you around, and we need animals if we're going to talk about what human beings are. We need to include nature and animals.
It sounds like you're saying that animals actually make us more human.
Yeah, not even more human. We would not be human without them. And I think if you read the Bible with that idea in mind, you see evidence for it everywhere.
Now, in this book, you talk a lot about dreams. And in the article, you expound on that quite a bit.
There are two main hints that people seem to get when they lose an animal they care about. Very often, they will have a dream in which the animal appears to them very vividly. And it's a dream. Some dreams stand out. Everybody has dreams. I have dreams all the time where you go to sleep and it's just a mixed up mush of stuff that happened to you that day and a bunch of nonsense that you can't figure out. But then there are other dreams that have a certain kind of atmosphere to them, and there's a feeling to them that they are trying to tell you something, and those are often the more vivid ones too. And again in researching the book, I would run into narratives of people who lost an animal, and within 2 or 3 days after losing the animal would have this dream where the animal appeared in intense vividness in a scene where they seemed to be happy and at peace.
And you think that scene is heaven?
I think, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm going to say that I'm going to make this point, which I think is a really important point. We tend to think of visions and inspirations and stuff like that as things which happen to Abraham or Moses, and they don't happen to ordinary people. But I think all of us have a little bit of visionary capacity. All of us, if we're open to it, are capable of having dreams and intuitions which are larger than ordinary life and which mean something.
Thanks, Ptolemy, for coming in and talking to us about your new book, The Divine Life of Animals, which is out this month and which is featured in Guideposts magazine this month. Good luck with the book.
Thanks.
Nice to see you again.
Good to be back.